This is me, and in my spare time I like to lift heavy circles, consume enough caffeine to pull 5 all-nighters in a row, and farm stupid amounts of gold in World of Warcraft. And after I've farmed that gold, I put that stupid amount of gold into stupid items, hoping they will go up in price. For Wrath of the Lich King specifically, I farmed up a couple 100,000 gold, put those gold into items, and I'm now sitting on a roughly 370,000 gold investment, which we will look at today and try our best to predict the future. So, will these investments go up in price from now? Well, that is the question we are going to try to answer today, looking at price data as well as entry point, doing some basic analysis of price charts, as well as looking at why these items could be going up in the future, basically why they will be in demand later on. Looking at my TSM ledger, we can see that my most valuable investments, going from the top and down, is Golden Pearls, Pendulum of Doom, Titanium Ore, Blade of Wizardry, Haunted Memento, and a bunch of other items. I have been very tactical with my investments so far, trying to divide my gold into as many different items as possible, mainly split between 5 main categories. Number 1, non-wrath material, aka TBC and vanilla materials that are still usable. Number 2, wrath materials with either increasing demand or constant demand, like for example titanium ores and eternal shadows. Number 3, luxury items like transmog items for the future, mainly cataclysm. Number 4, companion pets, or like retailers like to call them, battle pets. In this case I have mostly invested into the whelplings like Tiny Crimson Whelpling, Aesir Whelpling, and so on. Last but not least, time limited or exclusive items. For the sake of this TSM ledger, that specifically refers to the Haunted Mementos, which was only obtainable during the Wrath pre-patch event. So let's try to analyze some of my top investments, why I invested into them, and analyze their current price movements. Before that though, if you want early access to gold making videos like this one, as well as exclusive gold making information, make sure to check out my WOTLK Classic Gold Guide through the link down below. You get a full-fledged gold guide for WOTLK Classic, as well as access to a private Discord server where you will get even more gold making information, as well as early access to gold farming and gold making videos, and if you are into investments, you also get early access to investments and exclusive investment advice as well. People that got the gold guide already have made hundreds of thousands of gold, so don't miss out, check it out through the link down below. First up, Golden Pearls. I started investing into these after making my WOTLK Classic Gold Guide back in March 2022, after doing extensive research on what became available during Wrath itself, and it became more and more clear to me that these are items with a constant demand and a very low supply, and because they are very rare, it is not like the supply is suddenly going to skyrocket out of nowhere, which is why I decided to invest into them. My personal average purchase price was 5 gold, 28 silver each, and I bought 1,600 of them, meaning that I spent right around 7.5k gold on these pearls. They have since then gone up more than 3,000% in price, and if I sold all 1,600 of my golden pearls at the current price of 146 gold each, that means I would have turned my initial 7.5k gold investment into 233,000 gold. Now, when it comes to price, this item has been very constant for the last 90 days, and even seeing a small upwards trend since the launch of Phase 2. In the last 90 days, prices moved from right around 100 gold to just about 150 gold in EU, a 50% price increase in 90 days, which to me personally signals that this specific item could keep going even higher in price. Next up we have the Pendulum of Doom, a transmog item investment for the future for when transmogging becomes available. Certainly a somewhat risky investment and could take some time to sell, but it's already very profitable for me considering I bought it roughly 3 months ago for 4,000 gold, and it already is selling for between 15 and 35,000 gold right now. For the price chart of this item, it is really not that interesting, as it's a very long-term investment, but as we get closer and closer to Cataclysm, you will probably see this item go higher and higher in price as well. Next up we have titanium ore. This is an investment I made specifically for the aspect of being able to prospect titanium ore for titanium powder and epic gems, which becomes available in phase 3. So it's a phase 3 investment. That being said, they already saw a very small spike in price in the early to middle of January when phase 2 was announced, but went on a pretty fast decline following the launch of phase 2, and I kinda expect them to keep falling in price a little bit until the announcement of phase 3's release date, at which point they will probably surge upwards in price. I don't expect these to explode or skyrocket in price due to how many people have invested into thousands of them, but if anything, the market might even implode as everyone tries to offload their investments at the same time, but still, I am expecting some profits on this one, as titanium ores are basically useless until phase 3, and then goes from being very useless to very useful. My fourth biggest item, Blade of Wizardry, another transmog item, long-term investment, which I bought at 750 gold each, and is currently selling for just about 5,000 gold only 3 months later. You can also see at the price chart here that the price was even higher at the start of January, as the price absolutely skyrocketed out of nowhere and has been somewhat high ever since. But rather than trying to predict those high points for a buy and sell quick profit, I rather invest into it long term, and I can definitely see this item going for like 20k gold or more at the end of Wrath, and even more than that as we go into Cataclysm, if or when that time comes. Once again, this is a long-term investment, and most investments are somewhat long-term, because the earlier you invest and the longer ahead you plan, the more profit you usually make. My fifth biggest investment right now is the Haunted Mementos, which I personally bought for around 30 gold each, and they're already selling for about 450 gold each, giving me just around 1,500% return on my initial investment, which is pretty good considering this is an investment I made during the Wrath pre-patch and did not expect to see any big time profits with until like Cataclysm or potentially the last patch of Wrath. Two other items I have personally invested into and want to look at today are Arctic Fur and Titan Steel Bars. First, let's look at Arctic Fur. The last 90 days, this item has kept a very steady price and even seen a slight upwards trend in price the last few weeks, which is a trend we can see very clear on North America, and in EU, it suddenly spiked in price on the 7th of February, doubling in price overnight rather than a steady increase over time. Regardless, Arctic Fur could be a very decent investment right now and sell later, but does carry some risk as it can be mass farmed. Next up then, Titan Steel Bars. Titan Steel Bars on the other hand has absolutely crashed in price after the launch of phase 2, and I wanted to include that in this video as this is used in several crafting recipes for BOE items coming in phase 3, and we could be seeing this item's low point right now, which means that you could make some decent return on your investments on this one, considering it has a daily cooldown attached to it. So the supply is somewhat limited, so when the demand goes up, that means the price should go up with it. And that is basically going to be it for today. I wanted to take a bit of a deeper look at some of my investments, why they have gone up in price, see how the price charts have been moving lately, and try to find a trend for whether or not it's going to continue going up in price. Let me know what your biggest investment is in the comment section down below. Leave a like for the algorithm, subscribe for more content if you want to. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you again very soon.